Whether you're buying or selling, it's one of the biggest transactions you'll ever make. But behind the lawn signs and the open house stores, in Calgary's real estate sector, a nefarious scandal has been unraveling for years.
Well, I was being constantly assured, misled down the path until he got to a point where he could no longer hide.
A hardworking husband and father, Derek Davidson became an unsuspecting victim of a bridge financing scheme orchestrated by another realtor, Eric Drinkwater.
He continued to delay and lie to people, telling them they were going to get their money back until the hit the fan.
Davidson lent Drinkwater $80,000. He says he was approached by Drinkwater, saying some of his clients needed bridge financing in order to secure a down payment on a new home before receiving money for their previous residence. Because he was told the clients wouldn't qualify for loans through typical lenders, the return on investment for Davidson was supposed to be a handsome sum and returned to him in short order. He says he hasn't seen a dime of it since.
He started giving me screenshots of the money in his bank account. It's there. No problem. I just having problems with the bank or having problems with my family.
Davidson brought it forward to the Calgary Police Service. At the same time, lawyer Blair Ector was crafting a civil suit against Drinkwater.
Our inclination went off is that this looks like a Ponzi scheme, which I've never quite seen anything quite like this.
Ector's 4 clients have been collectively defrauded of more than $2.1 million in Drinkwater's bridge financing scheme.
He also promised high rates of interest that made it very attractive for people. After making that first payment to them on these small, $5,000 for return date, for example, it made it appear lucrative to average everyday people that are trying to make some more passive income.
After months of investigation, the scale of the alleged fraud became more clear. Ector's team has identified more than 70 victims. In May, Drinkwater was charged with criminal fraud.
Even though you think you have this in a good spot, you lose sleep over it. You think of the people that hurt more than you, the impact it's had on my family. There are times when it's not fun.
Drinkwater admitted to the courts his uncle and former RE/MAX Central owner Pat Hare was aware of his fraud scheme for more than 5 years before the investigation began. Court documents show in March of 2023, RE/MAX Central managing broker David Lem told both Drinkwater and Hare, quote, "We'll make every effort to defuse any situation that comes to our attention." Despite Hare and Lem's knowledge of the situation, Drinkwater's conduct was never reported to the Real Estate Council of Alberta, also known as RECA. So, the alleged fraud continued. Court documents show there was an email between Hare and Drinkwater advising Drinkwater to apply for bankruptcy. When Drinkwater responded saying he would call the council, Hare replied back, quote, "You do not have to call RECA unless you go bankrupt. What are you going to tell them? That you stole other people's money or you put them on a Ponzi scheme?"
Putting together all of the financial transactions, the late nights working on this to see that smoking gun, so to speak, to use the language of being referred to as an actual Ponzi scheme in written correspondence was quite shocking.
For some victims, they've already been waiting years for their money back, and there's still no indication if they'll ever get it. Eric Drinkwater admitted to being part of a fraudulent scheme. Court documents reveal he knowingly convinced a handful of people to participate in a complex bridge financing scheme. In the end, a civil suit shows his plan collectively cost victims millions of dollars. Drinkwater's real estate license is suspended, but for victims, they say the wheels of justice are turning just as slowly as the deceitful arrangement itself.
It's taken a year to get to this point. He admitted to RECA right away of his conduct, and that there were other parties that party to this that have not yet received any sanction.
Since we began to work on this story, RECA has issued notices of hearing to both Pat Hare and David Lem. Drinkwater claims Hare knew about the scheme the entire time. Hare has denied any involvement. Both Hare and Lem will appear in front of the council in mid-August. Earlier this year, RE/MAX dropped Central from the national brand. The brokerage continues to operate under the name 4th Street Holdings, winding down operations under the eye of the council. Those involved in the industry say it's been a long time coming.
In some of the public documents, this was brought to RECA long before 2024. And what they did with it is really what's in question. But it was very clear to a lot of people in the industry at the time that something was really not right.
Drinkwater is also charged with criminal fraud, a case that's still working its way through the courts. Lem and Hare are not facing criminal charges. Drinkwater did not respond to a request for comment. We also reached out to Lem and Hare. RECA says criminal proceedings are separate from their regulatory mandate, but as a practice, they generally share information with law enforcement organizations.
RECA should be able to act quicker and more efficiently than the police and the courts. And in this instance, they've reacted slower than the police and the courts. So it's a failure of the regulatory system.
While this may hold Drinkwater accountable, victims are still hoping to get their money back. RECA does have a consumer protection fund for victims of fraud relating to real estate transactions. Individuals can get up to $35,000. But in this case, the council says many of the victims gave Drinkwater what amounted to personal loans, not tied to a real estate transaction, complicating and delaying the process and showing the vulnerability consumers can face.
Well, it's obviously that we have fallen short.
Realtor Jason Bamlett removed himself from the RECA Residential Industry Council amidst the Drinkwater scandal.
Why isn't the Act protecting us? It has the power, it has the jurisdiction, and although I don't believe that it could have been prevented, there are mechanisms within the Act that certainly would have mitigated the damages and would have protected the public.
The council says because this case is so complex, it will take time to review each claim on its own merits and determine eligibility. Since 1985, RECA says the fund has paid out $3.6 million in compensation. Service Alberta is launching a review of RECA this month, saying in-depth analysis into the council's mandate is necessary. Industry members are hopeful real change is coming soon.
It's a bunch of errors upon errors that have continued to happen. And unfortunately, when the light is shone on it, I think we're going to see that there needs to be some real changes.
Skylar Peters, Global News.